Differentiation means tailoring instruction to meet individual student needs. The goal of mastery is the same, but the instructional approach is different. Learners have, quote, multiple options for taking in information, making sense of ideas, and expressing what they learn, notes Carol Ann Tomlinson, educator, author, and speaker who has conducted innovative and extensive work in the area of differentiation. Most of the information I will share today comes from her essential research. Now, there are times, and more often than not, that we have no idea how to really differentiate instruction. It's like a giant black hole, and we find it challenging to effectively meet the needs of our diverse learners who possess a vast variety of skills, abilities, language proficiencies, learning preferences, and interests. But here's the good news. There are three simple ways to implement differentiation. Firstly, we can differentiate the content. In this approach, teachers establish the objective of a lesson and then provide flexible options about the content to meet the objective. Examples of differentiating content at the elementary level include the following: using reading materials at varying readability levels, providing audio versions of text materials, providing video versions of text materials, using spelling or vocabulary lists at readiness levels of students, using reading buddies, and meeting with small groups to reteach an idea or skill for struggling learners or to extend the thinking skills of advanced learners. Doesn't this all sound like the perfect use of station rotations? Secondly, we can differentiate the process or how students make sense of the content. Examples of differentiating process for elementary students include the following: implementing tiered activities that emphasize the same idea and skills, but move forward with varying levels of support, challenge, or complexity, providing stations of interest, ones that encourage students to explore subsets of the class topic that are of particular interest to them, developing personal agendas or playlists that include common work and work that addresses a learner's individual needs, offering manipulatives or other hands-on supports for students who need them, and varying the length of time a student may take to complete a task. Finally, we can differentiate the product or how students show what they know. Examples of differentiating products for elementary students include the following: allowing students to create videos, songs, posters, podcasts, quizzes, puzzles, and other options to demonstrate their learning. Applying rubrics that match and extend students' varied skill levels. Allowing students to work alone or in small groups on their products, and encouraging students to produce their own product assignments as long as the assignments contain required elements. As long as the standard is achieved, it shouldn't matter what the journey looks like to get there. In some classrooms, differentiation will be required for students with disabilities and for English language learners. That's where simple tools like Mote, immersive readers, and Google Translate can make your life and theirs much easier. If this information is too much cognitive overload at this point in your journey towards understanding differentiation, I recommend starting very simply. Take your lesson plan and level it up with more challenging activities to encourage advanced learners, but also provide built-in supports and scaffolds for struggling learners. Pause here and take about 2 or 3 minutes to share your thoughts about these ideas and what they could look like in your classroom. Station rotations can be most effective when everyone has what they need. Set the baseline and then implement custom tailored station tasks to help each learner achieve the learning objectives. Now let's take a look at some resources about differentiation. On our Wakelet board, under the heading, How Can I Differentiate Station Tasks?, I have a few items. One, just remember if you need to use the Lexend font. You can read more about it by clicking the link, but if you recall, this is research driven. It's a research driven approach to fonts that helps increase reading proficiency. So if you make your own materials, please try to use the Lexend font consistently. As far if you'd like to read more about differentiated instruction, I highly recommend this article from Carol Ann Tomlinson. I've borrowed some of today's material from it. It's a nice, quick summary. And finally, I've provided for you, and all you need to do is do a file, make a copy of this or that as a choice template. I know we've talked about this before. This slide you can use if you wanted to differentiate content. You could use this slide if you wanted to differentiate process. And you could use this slide as an example of how to differentiate product. I hope this helps.